Hi, I'm Reverend Nina Rowe, founder of AngelsTeach.com, and welcome to Angels Teach TV and another episode of weekly messages from your angels for the week of July 12th through the 18th. We haven't met for a couple of weeks, and it's been a time of a lot of change. In fact, July 11th marked a major turning point in our march towards 2012 with a full solar eclipse that wasn't visible here in the northeast of the United States, but certainly has been profound in other areas of the world. This solar eclipse, according to my angels, marks a time that we take another very significant step along that path towards living a life in a world full of compassion, that we are making decisions more from that place of awareness of each other, which is what compassion is all about. So this week's messages are from the Angels, Gods, and Goddesses deck by Tony Carmen Salerno. And let's see what our angels have in store for us today. So if you've been feeling any challenges, as I'm shuffling the deck here and pulling the cards, I'm being guided to just make a few suggestions if you're feeling any challenges with the energy that's shifting, because for some it will feel easy, for others it's really going to be a little stressful. And I know of a number of people who are really having a hard time with the energy right now. And of course, as within, so without, we've had quite a heat wave here in the Northeast. And I imagine weather throughout the world is reflecting. So those suggestions that I have are to focus on your breath, to use your breath to bring yourself to a place of calm and peace. One of the techniques that my angels like to give me is to have me do a cycle of 20 breaths, and I will just sit quietly, peacefully. I usually close my eyes, and I just allow my breath to get deeper and deeper with its own natural rhythm, not anything that's forced, just using the natural rhythm, and do that for 20 cycles. Very powerful. It's almost like a reset or reboot button on your computer. Okay, so we have three wonderful cards here. We have the first card is the God of Reflections. The second card is the Goddess of Compassion. And the third card is the Goddess of Knowledge. Now, the first thing that I'm noticing about this card spread actually is that there is no angel representation, which is interesting because there are more angels than any gods or goddesses in this deck. So that's the first thing that I'm noticing about these. The second thing that I'm noticing is the Goddess of Compassion has come forward. Of course, we were talking about this being a time of moving into a place of compassion. So let's start with the first card, the God of Reflection, and we'll weave this all together. Well, the first thing that I'm noticing from the God of Reflection is that whole as within, so without. And you'll notice that the woman looking down, the face is slightly different from the person who is reflecting back at her. And the message that I'm hearing from my angels around that is that oftentimes when we look in the mirror, we see someone that we don't recognize. We see someone who perhaps isn't behaving quite in alignment with their desires, with somebody who perhaps isn't making choices that they always really want to live by. So the invitation in the God of Reflections is to really look truthfully at the decisions that you're making and be sure that they feel right. Be sure that they're coming from your heart and that they feel as though they're in alignment with the angels. And the goal here is really to have that reflection be exactly what you wish it to be, and to really reflect the true you, who you are. The second card, the Goddess of Compassion, of course compassion being the theme, what I'm noticing is that the left side of the card is this purplish hue, the right side of the card is this yellowish hue. A very stark contrast between the past, which is on the left side of the card, and the future, which is on the right side of the card. So it feels very much like nighttime in the past moving into daytime in the future. So this transition from this era that has really felt pretty dark at times, with certainly aggression and just behaviors that those of us who are very sensitive and looking for love really are looking for that transition to happen. I was actually in the post office yesterday, and the woman in front of me said, I don't want those love stamps. And I'm thinking, I love the love stamps. They're beautiful. They have pansies, they're purple, they're pretty, they're all about love. And the guy behind the counter said, well, we have hate stamps. And of course he was kidding. But it got me thinking, wow, that this woman chose those Liberty Bells, which are pretty. She actually didn't care what other stamps that she got. She just didn't want the love stamps. So there is going to be some struggle for some folks moving into that place of love. And the best thing that you can do, the best thing that we can all do, is to find that place of love in everybody that we encounter. And even if it's gently showing them the way to gratitude, gently helping them to see that true reflection for themselves as well as for yourself, it's a role that we can all play to help us move into that place of compassion and peace. The third card, the Goddess of Knowledge. There's a real fullness about her that I'm noticing, and it's interesting, I haven't picked up on that in this card before, so this is a new message in this card that's actually pretty familiar to me. And it's about fullness of knowledge, it's about completion, actually. It's this knowledge that all is in order, this knowledge that we have all that we need to know to go forward. And of course we're always learning. Knowledge is a journey, it's not a destination. And yet at the same time, when we allow that peace, allow that space, that stillness within, we have access to all the knowledge that we need in that moment. And that's the key point here. There's that fullness of the knowledge of knowing what we need to know in that moment. Also noticing the horseshoe shape and the future side of the card, and that feels to me like power. It makes me think of wild horses running in the plains, and it's all about power. And power coming from that place of knowledge, knowing that we have all that we need to know in that moment. So just tuning in here to see if there's any last message. And the angels are reminding me why the angel card didn't, or an angel card I should say, didn't come forward for this reading. And they're saying that it's because, this is interesting, this shift that we're going through is all about the human experience. It's about the masculine, it's about the feminine, and restoring a balance of that energy. So it's moving away from being tilted towards the masculine energies and really heavily weighted on that side, to being more balanced and really bringing more of the divine feminine back into the mix. And so you'll notice that there's 2 goddess cards and only 1 god card, and that is the reason for that. So we are turning into that new phase of the divine feminine, full of compassion and full of love. So that is our weekly reading for this week. I invite you to check out angelsteach.com for our online classes, as well as our Living with the Angels membership, which you can join for as little as $1 a month and experience those 1,000,000 messages a day and how you can attain more of them. So thank you for joining me here again. I look forward to visiting with you again next week. My blessings of love, joy, and abundance to you. Be well.